Okay, are truth-seeking conspiracy theories a healthy part of healing from narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships? I believe they can be. And so we're going to talk about why these truth-seeking conspiracies seem to pop up in your life coming out of narcissistic abuse, what some of these truth-seeking conspiracies look like, and then we're going to talk about some of the bad things that can happen, but we're going to talk about the benefits to your future health and well-being as a result of some of these truth-seeking conspiracy theories. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, first of all, let's understand the characteristics of you as an empath. For those of you who are creative thinkers, deep thinkers, people like me, my kind of people. We like to think deep into situations. We like to find the meaning behind the meaning. I've always been a very curious individual. My grandmother has shared stories with me about how when I was 6 or 7 years old, my grandmother was a missionary at the time, and I would get her to tell me stories about God at 6 or 7, and she would say, Kevin, I can't keep talking, and it's your bedtime. And I would say, but Grandma, we're talking about God. And she said that I would just absorb and take this information in, right? And this is what deep thinkers do. We like to absorb information. We like to try to make sense of stuff. We just input, like Johnny 5, that movie with that robot. Input. And that's how we build the core foundation of our life. This starts to build our cognition, how we measure things in the world. And by the way, this never ends. You and I are still very curious people. I am. This creates a problem with narcissists and in toxic relationships. Because the moment we start to see the relationship go sideways, which it does, we see narcissistic rage, we see their explosions of hostility, we see their aggressive behavior. We see the hatred and the bitterness and the resentfulness in their eyes. We see strange things in the narcissist's eyes. Makes no sense, right? And so naturally, you being a deep thinker and trying to find the meaning behind things, you do what? You start looking for input, right? Help me understand what's going on. How many of you did that with the narcissist? Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I want to understand, why are you so angry? Okay, narcissists don't like this, by the way. How many of you know that by now? They look at that as very threatening. This is what scares them about you. Uh-oh, you're starting to dig into the inner core of their heart, and this is where they start to really put up the fight. They're terrified of you scratching and digging and finding the deeper inner meaning of what's going on in their life. And so they block that, and they stop you from gathering any meaning. And so you're left with this broken understanding without being able to get input to try and figure it out. And now, many of you already know you spend too much time in narcissistically abusive relationships trying to fix the problem, right? Right? We like to fix things. One of the analogies I like to use is that you cannot fix a narcissistic abusive relationship any more than you can fix a broken iPhone if it drops and shatters. You're not qualified to figure that phone out. Well, you're not qualified to figure narcissists out either. But I'm going to take it a step further. I think we're not just trying to fix them. I think what we're really trying to do when we're trying to fix the situation is we're trying to hang on to dear life for any shreds of something we can understand, because it's slipping. Everything we thought we knew about the world and relationships, all the concepts and the principles and the foundations and the values that we learned all throughout our life. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Love everyone. Spread joy. Spread cheer. You can't go wrong. All these core foundations have failed. They failed. They shattered, and we're trying our hardest to pick up the remains of them, saying, give me something that I can make sense of this narcissistic abuse. Give me something to compare it to. But they don't. You get nothing. And so it all just slips and it falls. And by the way, this is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance has a lot deeper meaning, and you can look it up. But if you want to just look at it in general, what it basically means is that you are slipping away from your understanding of how the world works. What you know works in the world is not measuring up to what's actually taking place. There's an imbalance there. As a result, you crack, you break, you shatter. And not you necessarily, but all the narratives you've been given in life, all the beliefs you had in life, they shatter, they no longer can support you, and you fall down to the ground. Boom! Down! Out! Your foundations are gone. I've been there. And so what happens? Well, again, like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old, you are now still curious because you're an empath and you're a curious person. You want input. That hasn't changed. But now, you are naturally going to avoid all the narratives that you've been given all your life. Why? Because they failed you. Naturally. So why would you go back to the same narratives? So for a lot of you, this may look like turning your back on your faith for a while, turning your back on God. I did that. I shook my fist at God. I said, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. It doesn't make sense. Christianity failed me against narcissistic abuse. I'm not going back to how I did it last time. And this goes for everything in life. And this is where we start to get into truth-seeking conspiracy theories. Because you are trying to gather input to rebuild the foundations of your life, and you're doing so while avoiding all of the foundations that failed you because you look at them as no longer being able to support you because they can't. They failed you. So your beliefs, your ideas of family, your ideas of people, of relationships, your ideas of church, of Christianity, all the ways in which you were told to view the world which failed you because you were not able to get answers, now you're going around those things and you're looking for other meanings. You're looking for other answers. You're looking for other foundational things that might have a better chance of supporting you. And so we're getting into truth seeking. And not only that, but we're realizing the false narratives that we've had. So you may find yourself discovering that Christmas may be a bogus holiday. You were always told that it's a Christian thing, and it's not. You learned that Jesus never celebrated Christmas and never told the disciples to. You're going to realize that it was a pagan ritual, that at some point Christianity bastardized it and stole it and said, hey, you know what? We like what you guys are doing there, except we want to sprinkle some Jesus in there too for our Jesus people, and it's going to irritate you. You might go, why am I celebrating Christmas anyways? Really, it's nothing more than just possibly an economic boost. Buying gifts for kids and stuff, right? And you're going to start to explore these things. Easter. We're told it's the resurrection of Jesus, but it's also shared with a bunny and hiding eggs. What the heck is that? Once again, you're going to realize that it has to do with pagan rituals that Christianity and people told you to use and sprinkle Jesus in there and whatever, what have you. You're going to start to be a truth seeker, and you're going to start to weed out all these things that now don't make sense anymore. Why? Because it was a part of the foundations that cracked for you. Okay? Things like your understanding of family. You had an idea of family. You thought family was always supposed to love you. Well, not so much now, Now that you've experienced narcissistic abuse by the hands of your family. You thought one way about relationships, if you give love, you'll receive love. Well, not so much now, So you're working in truth-seeking to try to rebuild a foundation, which is actually a good thing. Which, by the way, I turned my back on my faith because I believed that my faith failed me. But God did not turn his back on me, right? Your true faith will not turn its back on you. This is why Royal We Fellowship was born, by the way. And you can join Royal We Fellowship every Saturday morning. I started cracking open the Bible again, and now I read it from a different perspective. I look at it from understanding narcissism and toxic relationships, and it's a brand new way of looking at the ancient literature. And this is why I encourage you to join me every Saturday morning for Royal We Fellowship. Okay? So now some of the bad things about truth-seeking conspiracy theories. Because it can get out of hand, right? It can start to get into the realm of demons being greys and lizard people and this and that. Again, all a part of you trying to make sense of wickedness. And really that's at the core of what's taking place. We're trying to make sense of wickedness in the world. And so you could start to look into the lizard people and the greys and demons and Nephilim and the giants and the dinosaurs and this and that. And that could lead to, well, if narcissists are able to lie, then and family members are able to lie, then everybody's able to lie. The governments are a lie. NASA's a lie. We never went to the moon. The earth isn't a round spinning ball. It's flat and everything's a lie. And you can see how it could start to really take off. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong to start to question all these things. I may or may not have questioned some of these things myself. Again, it's a result of the foundations of what you believe being broken down, understanding that those narratives can no longer support you, and so you're looking for new ones, right? And so the bad part is that it can kind of make you look kind of wacky, which is not good coming out of narcissistic abuse, especially if you are still connected with the narcissist, because it's going to give them even more ammunition to point you out. So your narcissistic mother, friend, ex is going to say, hey, look at Sally Crazy Butt over here. She thinks the earth is flat. I told you she was crazy. That's why we're no longer together. Right? And so that's the bad thing, and that can cause more hurt in your life. So for that, I would say this. It's okay to explore the questions of truth-seeking, of conspiracy theories, but do so in moderation. Try not to go too much off the deep end, because you don't want to give ammunition for people to cause more pain in your life, right? I've been there too. So I'm sharing that. However, the benefits far outweigh the negative stuff. Let's look at the benefits. The benefits of being a truth-seeking conspiracy theorist as a result of narcissistic abuse. The benefits are easy to understand, right? And that is this, that you are going to grow stronger as an individual. You will have barriers up against narcissism and against the authority of narcissism trying to tell you how to live your life. You're going to realize that you spend a lot of your life being adaptive, just going with what other people said, which is why you ended up in a narcissistically abusive relationship, because in part you failed to show up authentically because you didn't know how to. You only showed up through the narratives that you had. But now that you're rebuilding narratives, you are able to see past the superficial charm. You're able to see past the authoritative ways of narcissism. And you no longer will ever suffer that. You will be more authentic, and you will be more present with yourself. You'll be more individualized, if this makes sense. This is the good part. So I say explore these truth-seeking ideas. Explore them. Learn to be different, to go against what everybody else, when everybody else is saying go this way, be the one going that way. Nothing wrong with that. That's your uniqueness, right? This is your birth into your authentic self. Listen, I want to be a part of your healing journey. Down below, you will find access to one-on-one appointments with me. We could have a telephone call. We could have a FaceTime or a WhatsApp video consultation or a text message consultation. It's up to you. Also, down below, you'll find access to Monday Night Royal We Live Chat. We get together every Monday night to ask questions. And every Saturday morning, you'll find the link down below for Royal We Fellowship, an in-depth Bible study as we inject our understanding of narcissism and toxicity of the world into the ancient literature of the Bible. It's unlike any other Bible study you've been a part of. That's every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. And I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We.